right. No, it isn't. You need to say something.
Royalty. Ain't number made men with me. Treat all of my niggas like royalty. My brothers, and all of my bitches, they loyal to me. Yeah. Hey, yeah.
Hey, what's up, my beautiful kings and queens? My name is Shyla.
You know who I am, man. It's EK.
And we are coming to you guys today for the first time ever for a series called Dr. Death. And this is a podcast that has transpired into a series that's transpired into a doc series, and it is a very, very, very good podcast.
Yeah, it's deep, man. It's like enthralling. It's like watching a train wreck in slow motion.
Yes.
But we'll go ahead and get into reviewing that. Before we get started, though, don't forget to hit that like, don't forget to hit that sub, and definitely bing that motherfucking bell. You know what it is. To kind of get further into it, this is about a doctor named Dr. Christopher Duntsch. Mm-hmm. It took place in about 2012, the events of this show, and it's based on a true story. These are real events that really happened. Niggas really got tried in a real court and really went to real jail.
Yes. And it's about patients that he butchered during surgery.
I think the official numbers is he had 38 surgeries, and out of those 38 surgeries, he fucked up 33 of them. Yes. So that means only 5 of them were alright, and I don't think they count old girl who did the commercial as one of the fuck ups, even though she still says that she's in pain and shit all the time.
Right, because she can still walk.
Right, and she's not dead. Just a quick overview. So we got the actors. Like there were some real high grade actors in here.
Yes.
They had Alec Baldwin, who you guys may know from doing the Trump parodies recently, as Dr. Robert Henderson, which was one of the main whistleblowers. Who was he was the spine surgeon of the two, I believe.
Yes.
And then they had Christian Slater as Dr. Randall Kirby, who was another one of the two whistleblowers. Now these two doctors,
the main two whistleblowers, the only two.
Kirby was the neurosurgeon.
Right.
So usually one of these two doctors had to come in and fix up the shit he fucked up or had to work on the patients that he had already messed up. So they're seeing his shit firsthand. Right. And they're like, what the fuck is this guy doing?
Exactly. And they come in and they're like, he's doing this on purpose or he's an imposter because of the egregious surgeries that he performed.
Yeah. And after watching the docuseries and the Dr. Death is the regular series, the actors that they picked for those two doctors, I thought that they did a very good job. Like Alec Baldwin did a good job of at least acting and portraying Dr. Henderson. Because I know Alec Baldwin is he can be a little bit more boisterous, but he was real even killed. And that's exactly how he was when you see the real doctor and everything. And Christian Slater was a lot more animated and a lot more like snappy.
Vocal. Yes.
So they both did a really good job. Then, of course, the main character, you have Christopher Duntsch being played by Joshua Jackson.
He did a good job of portraying Christopher Duntsch.
Where's Joshua Jackson from?
Dawson's Creek.
That's what I thought. He looked like a Dawson's Creek.
But he's from other movies, though.
Is that
I
song?
don't want to wait.
So that's like, yeah.
So we have Joshua Jackson, and we have a lot of other characters too. We don't want to bore you guys with all the names, but
as it comes through the line, we'll kind of touch on those characters anyways.
Right.
So the most important part is the patients. He killed 2 patients.
Yes.
He maimed and made a lot of them paralyzed. His best friend came into, but we'll kind of go down the list of the patients that he had. And some of the wild ones that we saw from the series and that kind of stuck out from the series and from the podcast.
Right.
So I think number 1 on my list, even though there were some people that he killed through surgery, number 1 on my list was Jerry.
Yes.
Jerry Summers.
Jerry Summers was his best friend. They lived in Colorado together and they moved to Texas together. Remind you, this.
No, they lived in Tennessee together.
Oh, Tennessee.
Yeah. So they went to high school in Tennessee together, and then Duntsch left for college, and then when he came back, saying that he was gonna, after football failed, he said he was gonna do doctor. He's gonna go for his doctorate and stuff. That's when they started linking back up.
So he got his best friend to follow him out of state.
Yeah, to Texas, to where he started his practice up and everything. His best friend was his marketing manager, put together his website, was helping him get clientele, as well as doing drugs with him.
Big coke.
The saddest part about the story to me, why I put the best friend at number 1, was because his best friend was there with him, helping him build up his success. and then saw the other shit, and he kind of knew firsthand of the calamity his friend was causing, but still believed the bullshit that his friend was telling him enough to trust him into surgery. Like, oh no, he's the best surgeon in Dallas. Right. And he went into surgery and ended up a paraplegic, couldn't move anything.
Quadriplegic.
Oh yeah, quadriplegic. You're right.
Right.
And couldn't move anything from the neck down. If you see him now, he's in a little chair. He can't do anything. He damn near decapitated him. The description that they gave, how he left his friend, was just like ridiculous. Like, he removed so many bones from his vertebrae, from the front and from the back, that they said that his head was hanging on by a thread. Right. And they said every time the nurses would try to move him, his heart rate would drop because he was just put together so poorly. Was there anything that stood out to you about Jerry's case? Or
what stood out to me after the surgery was how cold Duntsch was to Jerry. After the surgery, he didn't come and see him. He didn't check on his best friend. His best friend was crying and calling for him. And he was like, I was in other surgeries. I was busy. I couldn't come to you. And then he takes him back to surgery without his knowledge. According to the series, I don't know how true that is. Yeah. But according to the series, he takes him back into surgery. And that's what really fucks him up. Because the first surgery, he could move a little bit. But that second surgery, he couldn't move at all. So that's what stood out to me the most, and how cold-hearted he was. Yeah, and then now that you mentioned that, he didn't even come back to do the second surgery until his friend was screaming, had to lie and say they were doing drugs the night before to even get a response back for him to come pull up. He had to lie to the nurses and doctors and say we did an A-ball the night before surgery, which he admitted was a lie, but why should you have to go that far for your best friend that performed the surgery to come even check on you?
So watching the series, you start to see how dumb this guy is. I mean, like, he's leaving his keys that he uses to open his clinic on the outside of the clinic. He's running in the shit in his car. One of the most funny things that me and her were like, what the fuck?
It was that suck-ass circulating nurse, wasn't it?
So one of the circulating nurses, Josh Baker, he's noticing, and I think the name is Josh Baker in the show, but I think his name, he has a different name in real life because we saw it was a white dude in the series, not a black dude. He noticed that 3 days in a row, Dr. Duntsch had on the same scrubs with a hole in the back, not wearing underwear, just see his little white ass shining through the little hole and shit. And he noticed that 3 days in a row. Usually a surgeon and doctors in general are like really big and up on cleanliness and
sterilization.
This guy, he just was on a whole nother level. So that's one of the funny things that I got. Like, and that hole was like traumatizing this young man, bro. Every time he seen it, he was like, I know this nigga is not
wearing
the same fucking pants, bro.
The same fucking scrubs. Because it's important. You're opening people up. You have to have clean scrubs on.
The next one in the series, the person's name is Dorothy Burke, but I think that's the real story of Kelly Martin. And she was a mother of 2 daughters and her husband, and they took him in there and he killed her.
She was the first patient that he killed under the knife.
Yeah, and he went like on this unprecedented streak of like 4 patients that he like fucked up real bad. Which was Jerry. No, he wasn't the first one.
And shit.
But I'm talking about between the deaths, because it was it was like Jerry, death, paralyzation, and then another death or something like that. So I think she was the one that was after him. And after that, he had Mary Eford, which was the case he ended up getting charged on. Mary's Eford name in the series is Madeline Bayers, is the person who her character is akin to. It's the elderly woman that he got charged for. She went into the surgery while Kelly Martin was dying. She had the elective surgery, and he chose to do the elective surgery over the urgent one, and she ended up dying as a result. And then he paralyzed the person who was coming into elective surgery.
Right.
Then after that, it was Floella Brown. Floella Brown was the last person he killed, but she had a different name in the show as well. It was something else. But she died in the second surgery.
She didn't die in the surgery room. She died when they took her upstairs to the ICU. And she woke up. And started just screaming bloody murder and coded.
Another one of the cases that it goes through in the episodes is Jacqueline Troy. That's the real person's name, but it was one of the first patients, an earlier patient that he had, and he cut her vocal cords and she can't speak. So when you see the real Jacqueline Troy, she speaks and she speaks in a little whisper like this because he didn't know what he was doing and cut her throat. And this goes on and on. I mean, like, the series it's really mind-blowing. And then, like, throughout this whole thing, you think that you're in the good hands of the medical professionals. And, like, it's not just the doctor's fault. Like, it's really...
Everybody drops the ball.
Right. The medical Texas board, the fucking 3 to 4 hospitals that he works for.
Right.
Like, you gotta just watch. Like, it's so much to explain that I don't have time to explain it, and my video will be boring compared to the shit they have put together. That's why we're just kind of urging you to watch it, because I don't feel like it's getting enough attention, and not a lot of people know about it. And this happened in recent time. It's not like some 90s shit. This happened in 2012, 2013, 2014.
He was sentenced 2015, right?
This guy, he did surgery on somebody who he stopped their surgery midway through because he thought he saw cancer in it. He cut out what he thought to be a tumor, but it was really a piece of their esophagus. And then he left a sponge in them. Like, what doctor have you ever heard about just leaving a tool, leaving a sponge, like,
inside of your body?
And then the women in his life, I'm like, could you find any dumber bitches? And when you watch the docu-series with this Wendy bitch, I'm like, oh my god, she's so dumb. Like,
she's more dumb in real life than she is in the doc series.
In the regular series, I kind of gave her a little bit of credit because she kind of stood up for herself, and then, you know, this and that, whatever. But in real life, when you start watching the docu-series, I'm like, oh my god, bro, real life Wendy is stupid. And then it didn't tell you that she had another kid with him. After all the murders, all the allegations, all this and that, she still had another kid with him. After he broke into her house multiple times, like, bro, what are you doing? Then this other girl, Kim Morgan, surgical assistant,
nurse.
like, who, she was the worst of them all. Like, she came in breaking up the happy home, even though Duntsch lied about it, but she knew because they were sleeping together in this office. Like, what respectable woman would continue their relationship in the office of their work spot?
Right.
Like, you have to know at that point they're somewhere.
Right.
She's there with him through a couple of the surgeries. Like, the other doctors ain't there.
The majority of the surgeries.
She should have been the first nigga calling the Texas Medical Board, getting ignored.
Right.
But she didn't do anything, and then had the audacity to try to disappear and not be present during court and try to move to the opposite end of the earth and stuff. Like, no, bro, you need to come up and atone for this. You need to go with this fool, actually, because you was hand in hand with him. She found drugs in the clinic, knew it was this nigga's drugs, didn't do nothing about it, didn't report him. I thought it was her when it said, oh, somebody reported him to the medical, like, it was anonymous. But then later on it was somebody else, and they asked, and they was like, yeah, it was me, and it wasn't her. It was somebody else random.
When he came to her house, she was like, they're still letting you practice. She was surprised that he still had a license. So I thought she reported him too.
Yeah, no, it was somebody else who reported that. Other than that, watch the series, man.
First, you're supposed to listen to the podcast because the podcast is so crazy, but people are lazy, and I know I'm people.
It's on TV now.
But go watch the series.
It's on TV now.
Yes, go watch the series, and then there's a doc series with real people, real pictures, real video footage of what actually happened.
Real interviews from the real people.
Yes, it shows Jerry Summers.
They put a whole thing together on Peacock. They went in.
Yeah, they did.
We won't sit here and take up all your time. Go check that out. This is our recommendations. We're gonna try to do more recommendation videos because we watch a whole ton of shit, and that's why we even try to do this channel, because we can watch, review, and share our movie knowledge with you guys and you guys with us, so we can watch better stuff and just have better viewing experiences and not waste people's time. So go check this shit out because it's definitely a must see. You'll be scratching your head.
It's a mind fuck. It's crazy because they still let him practice after death. It's
on the same fucking mindfuck as Kidnapped in Plain Sight.
But better, because that was stupid. But yes, a great mindfuck. If you like mindfucks. We like mindfucks.
So, thank you very much, my kings and queens, for coming. I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you guys watch it, let us know what you guys think. Don't forget to hit that like, hit that sub, and before you leave, bing the bell. Y'all take it easy and stay royal.